Hey guys, Rob here with part 2 of the DialogFlow tutorial. In this video, we'll cover sending dynamic responses back to your agent with an Express server. For this example, we're going to get our dynamic response data using a promise-based JavaScript HTTP client called Axios, which gives us a simple way to send various requests to REST APIs. We can pick up right where we left off using the same webhook example from part 1 of the tutorial. If you haven't seen that video and want to follow along with this one, I suggest you pause the video, watch that one, and come back. The first thing we're going to do is add Axios to our project. This will allow us to make REST API calls based on the user's input. Adding HTTP calls to our DialogFlow agent opens up a huge amount of possibilities for dynamic responses. The next thing we will do is specific to this video, and it's signing up for an API key for openweathermap.com. This key will allow us to use their backend to retrieve weather data. An optional tool you can download for this video is a graphic HTTP client called Postman. Postman gives us a simple and intuitive interface to modify HTTP request methods, headers, payloads, and targets. It helps us really configure and make sure our request is formatted properly before implementing it in code. I'll open up Postman and provide our API key in the app ID URL parameter. As you can see, we're getting our JSON response back, so our request is formatted properly and we're ready to begin programming. In our agent, I'll add a new intent called getWeather and supply it with a few training phrases such as, "What is the weather like in Houston?" This training phrase is using system entities to identify where the city will appear in the training query. System entities are useful because they contain a large amount of commonly used data. The link for a full list of system entities can be found in the description. Now that we have our intent set up to recognize when the user asks for the weather, we can extract which city the user is asking the weather for. We are all set to begin forming the response logic in our Express server. The first thing I will change is our user's endpoint to something a little more fitting. And I'll make all the necessary changes in the router as well. The thing we'll do is add a variable to hold the name of the city which we're trying to find the weather for. The city value can be found under request, body, query result, parameters, GeoCity. Then let's add a base URL that we can use to send HTTP requests with. Using a template string, I'll add the city with the $ bracket notation. I'll add our Axios GET request and start forming the response logic in the callback function. I'll extract the conditions and the temperature from the Axios response, and then I'll start forming a text response based on those variables. To keep the code in the callback function a little more readable, I'll create a separate function called createTextResponse that actually generates the JSON object that DialogFlow can accept as a response and display. The function simply takes the text response we formed in our Axios callback and wraps it in an object that DialogFlow accepts, then returns that value. Finally, I'll take that object and send it back using response.send with the function call. With a little debugging, our response is all set and our agent is complete. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. A Git repository with all the code from my DialogFlow videos can be found in the description along with a few other resources. If there's something that you want to see in a future video, leave a comment.